Let's jump to Jack Hermansson and Edmund Shabazian. To me, this is a tragic story because Edmund Shabazian has all the tools in the world to be a world champion, but he's not a world champion. He's not there yet. And one of the problems with the UFC, and we've said this time over time, time after time, especially if you watch this show, is his management in the UFC is doing him a disservice by tossing him these fucking monsters. So Edmund, I think last year they had him as one of the number one prospects, especially at middleweight, the number one prospect. Okay. And then you toss him to the fucking wolves. In no other sport, if you're this young and green behind the gills, are you fighting these veterans? And not only are you fighting veterans, but you're fighting bad matchups, because the only way to get, experience inside that octagon is by actually fighting. But you're getting the worst matchups possible. If you could pick two guys that just are terrible matchups for Edmund, that's what he got. He got fucking Brunson, then he got Jack Hermansson. So if Brunson, we realize, Jesus, Edmund needs to go back to the drawing board and work on his grappling, especially on the ground. I don't know what belt level he is, but it's just not there yet. But that's okay. But not in the UFC. Ed Suarez, I'll never forget this, when we were at Black House. I forget who it was. I think it was Brian Ortega. When I first got the UFC, they told me he was fighting, I forget, it may have been Clay Guida or someone like that. I go, God, tough matchup. And I said, I'm surprised you guys let him do that. He goes, what do you mean? What do you mean? It's the UFC. You shouldn't sign with the UFC unless you're ready to take on all comers, whether it's the champ or it's a top 10, top 20. If you can't fight those guys, you shouldn't be in the UFC. I'm like, yeah, you're right. You're right. But there are guys like Edmund who have such a high ceiling where even with Conor McGregor, he wasn't fighting terrible matchups off the bat. It was a slow build, man. And that journey, and we can get behind guys when you follow this journey with Edmund, has a great story, right? He was a young kid in the gym with Ronda Rousey. Edmund's his coach, which is Ronda's head coach. Like there's a story there. But when you give him awful matchups, you're not doing this kid any favors, man. Because now confidence fucking shot. Confidence out the window, and now we got to go back to the drawing board. And what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So for him, just the worst case possible, give him Jack Hermansson who can grapple his ass off. Edmund couldn't get started on the feet, just never got comfortable. Maybe you give him around 29, 27. I agree with that. For him, you'd have to look at a guy like, what about Kevin Holland? That'd be a fun matchup. Another guy who doesn't have a clue about the ground game. I mean, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and that's fine. But as far as getting it down, he's not going to take Edmund down. Let them boys fight it out. Another guy, again, and I wouldn't give him this fight, but a guy who's on a big losing streak at middleweight would be Kelvin Gastelum. Doesn't really use his wrestling, fancy himself a striker. Edmund, those are favorable fights for Edmund. But again, dude, is this the route we want to go? Kevin Holland could make sense. Kevin Holland makes sense. But you just got to give the kid a fucking chance, man, because you got one. Not everybody's John Jones, man. Not everyone's ready right off the bat. Because remember, John had wrestling. His background was wrestling. So he's going to take the fight where he wants to take the fight. Edmund, he's a striker. You keep giving these fucking grapplers, man. And he's not there yet. Will he get there? I'm sure. But you're going to ruin this fucking huge prospect by giving him shitty matchups. The management should be ashamed of themselves, and the UFC should be ashamed of themselves. Because you got one there. The kid has all the fucking potential in the world, and you're fucking it up, man. You're ruining this prospect. No other sport does this, except for the UFC. And if I'm Edmund, when they go, all right, you're fighting Brunson, I'd be like, really? Already? Like, what about these other guys? There's other better matchups. Like, let me get my feet, let me get my beak wet. Because this is it depends what you want to do. But to me, your professional career, whether it's football, fighting, basketball, hockey, whatever sport you're in, it's a marathon, dude. So you want to just fight these top contenders right away? All right, dude, you lose. All right, you're 3 years maybe, don't even build a name, not going to make any money. Let's do a marathon, fight out that contract, not fight anybody in the top 10, and then after we fight that 6-fight deal, then start negotiating for the bigger deals. It's a marathon, man. It's not a sprint. And his team sprint. UFC sprint. All right, well, you fucked up his confidence. Now we're going to go back to the drawing board. You fucked with his confidence, and confidence is everything. Look at Cody Garbrandt. And back to Cody Garbrandt, you got to realize this guy coming off that he had really rough time with COVID. He was talking about he almost died. He wasn't feeling good. Here's Rob Font. That's where Cody's at. But Cody's ready for that. Cody just didn't show up mentally. But for Edmund, it's not about him showing up. It's just these terrible matchups. Again, management and UFC matchmakers should be ashamed of themselves. Because how often you get a guy like Edmund that comes along? You're fucking it up. And I know the UFC is not about stars, but goddamn, dude. You're not doing many favors, man. Again, none of these fights are going to knock your fucking hair back. That Edmund one ruined my night. Going to be honest with you. That fucked the whole vibe up for me. I don't get it. I do not get it. I know I keep harping on it, but I do not get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Look at the NFL. You know, the Packers draft homeboy out of North Dakota State, where the hell that kid's from. He's going to ride the bench and learn the game. The speed is different. Everything's different. He's going to learn, and then he gets in the game. He'll play a little preseason, and then he'll watch the vets do it and learn and then pick it up. Now, there are the exceptions, the rookies that get in there and get it done, but even they protect those guys. They're not throwing the whole playbook at them. I don't get it. I do not get it. His management should be ashamed, man. But everyone wants to be like fucking Don Cerrone. I'll fight any place, anytime. I get it, dude. You're not Don Cerrone. You're going to have a 2-year career. And you're fighting the regional scene making $0 fucking dollars. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint.